Hi there, I'm Kylie Mowbray Allen from Hello Media.
And I'm Jenny Walk from Elephant in the Room Consulting, and you're tuning into Bite Size Business Live Podcast, the show that helps business owners get clarity and insight to grow their dream business.
Whether you're launching, ready to scale, or figuring out what's next, we discuss the nitty-gritty, the hard bits, the opportunities, and the behind the scenes, and share how we've grown our own companies and helped others do the same.
We're glad you're here. Kylie Mowbray Allen from Hello Media, and you're tuning into the Bite Size Business Live Podcast, the show that helps small business owners get clarity and insight to grow their dream business. Good morning, Kylie. It's Monday. There's always a bit of tech issue, and we're finding that a little bit today, aren't we?
Well, I think it's because of the big palaver going on with this removing being able to stream through third-party platforms out of Zoom. So that's all, rolling out over the next couple of days. So I think it put us into a discombobulated headspace, Jenny. But here we are, going well, and hopefully we are getting it out there.
It's so many changes. I think at the moment Facebook seems to be kind of making so many changes to the way that it's operating and its algorithms and what it's allowing you to do. And it always makes me wonder about what it is what's coming when you're making these big changes. You're wondering what they're going to replace it with, or what they're doing to kind of, essentially replace the my God, my brain is having a moment. Sorry, everyone. They're replacing that service with, it's you normally like for like. So if they're taking that away, are they about to launch something that's going to replace it? Are they doing something different that's going to encourage people to work with Facebook in a different way? So I'm always interested in that.
In the background, it's all to do with privacy issues. So it's a really, really interesting one. But Jenny, in terms of bringing things out and taking things away and all that, how about the talk of the town all weekend about Meta's AI stuff, which has blown my mind. It is so much better than what you can do in Canva or with DALL-E at the moment, and way better than what you can do with ChatGPT's DALL-E too. So pretty exciting. They haven't brought it out to all the countries, but certainly Australia's got it in there, which is exciting. So for those of you that are not sure what I'm talking about, if you go to it's on all the Meta platforms right now, but it's an easy way for you to do, just to test it out with yourself, is if you go to Messenger, and you could do that as I'm talking away if you like. At the very, very top of Messenger, it says, ask Meta AI anything. So click on that, and I typed in, here we go, small garden tips, because it was just giving me a suggestion, and it's writing a whole bunch of stuff. But then I was like, wowzers, okay, this is impressive. Let's keep going. So then I thought, let's see what it's going to be like with its images. So I wrote, imagine a dog doing yoga. So it gave me a pretty incredible picture. So anyway, then my most recent one was, now I want a black schnauzer doing the downward dog pose from yoga. And it's literally looks like my dog doing it in this. It's even got a yoga block and a yoga mat and the whole thing going on.
I was at a retreat, Kylie, so I must be the only person on the planet who doesn't know about AI at Meta. Because when I go onto my Messenger, I've just found it. It's at the the bottom corner of my page, not the top of mine. But yes, it's like I had no
on your
idea.
phone?
Yeah, on my phone, yeah. So I must be a little bit kind of away with it, because we had a kind of a business retreat with kind of 20 odd women just chilling out and getting to know each other, and we weren't really on social the whole weekend. So I'm going to have to go and see what all this AI is about.
Start having a play. It's pretty awesome. And having been, diving into all kinds of different AI platforms, this one here is just really impressive. And it actually didn't just launch this weekend. It launched last year with Llama and stuff, but it just wasn't that readily available to everyone. Whereas now they've literally attached it to every single thing that they have. So you could jump in on Instagram or like I've shown you then with Messenger. It's just extraordinary. So pretty exciting to see what's coming with that.
And I think that's, talking about new platforms, new changes, it's that kind of, but it's funny when you're talking about privacy. On one hand, we can't do these connections and third-party integrations because of privacy and data sharing. And on the other hand, you can create an AI platform, which is pretty much going to create whatever the heck you want. And it's going to be a little bit crazy. So,
And
yeah,
using other people's stuff. That's the
yeah,
thing in terms of
crazy.
copywriting things. It's
Insane.
deeply fraught with issues. So we'll
Well,
deep dive
interesting
into
though.
that another time. I've been doing lots of AI masterclasses and teaching all kinds of things around it. It's a biggie, that's for sure. But have a play with it and just enjoy it for now
Until the
before
next
it.
one comes out, right?
Yep.
It's actually it probably aligns very much with our topic today. We wanted to talk a little bit about kind of getting, business inspiration, how we can kind of reconnect with some of the kind of to be inspired in our business, because we all get to a point where things are going on and we're like, what's happening? And we start to kind of feel a little bit tired. And what does that mean for our business? So kind of reigniting the inspiration. To some extent, AI does help us do that. I built a new platform on the weekend because I had a little bit of inspiration talking to some beautiful Indigenous artists and went, I'm going to create something here. And I started to do that, and I was using some AI to help draft some of the content because it's general content, doesn't relate specifically to me. And it's that kind of, all the things that were coming up were quite inspiring. I was looking at, share some cool quotes for that, artists may have shared about the importance of connecting and collaboration. And the coolest, quotes were coming up in the most obscure quotes, and it was really quite inspiring when we think about how we can spark that thought process in our head. And so, I mean, AI has a really great power to do that, but there are so many other ways that if you are starting to kind of feel a little bit flat, you're looking for some inspiration in your business, there are so many great ways that I know you and I do, but that we've kind of tapped into over the last couple of years to keep that kind of fire burning.
Absolutely. I'm really glad you brought AI up as one of those tools that you can use in that way. So I was working with a client last week, and she's been working with me in different ways over a while, but not as a one-on-one before. So that was really fun. And she just couldn't believe what we were able to do with AI in terms of generating some ideas. So we needed some taglines, and so I just pumped it in there. Not one of them did we use, but we got words out of many of them. So I think just to help your own creativity. So it's almost like sitting there at a round table having a chat with all the people that would be able to support you in your industry, seeing what ideas they all come out, you're brainstorming together, and then you pick out the best bits and put it together. So yeah, I think it's such a great way to be able to use it, and a great way to get inspiration for your business.
Definitely. So what are the ways that you've used to kind of get inspiration over the last couple of years, Cully, in your business?
Podcasts is a really, really big one for me. I don't
Yeah.
listen to them religiously every day or every week or anything. And if I drove more often, I definitely would, because the minute I'm in the car, boom, on goes my podcast. So I might even have like 4 in a row I need to catch up with that are from someone that I really like to follow or something. But some of them are, I can even listen to it again 6 months later because I love it that much, and what they offer is so good. So I'm not so much about podcasts for my personal life and hobbies or whatever. For me, it's strictly business, and I just find it so incredibly valuable. So podcasts for me really help spark ideas. What about for you, Jenny?
I'm an audio book fan, to be honest. If I'm kind of having a moment where I need a kind of just to reset, but also just to kind of spark that thought process, for me, I guess the same similar to you with podcasts, but for me, it's listening to audiobooks. So I have a suite of audiobooks that sit on, I mean, I use Audible as a platform. There's so many different ones out there, but I've got a number of books that I will drop into and drop in and out of that I've read before or listened to before, that I'm now just kind of using as that kind of, oh yeah, I have some questions, I'm thinking about something, what am I going to do? And I pop into that. And so for me, definitely podcasts. I also find I'm not a huge fan of networking. We've talked about it before, that I struggle a little bit with the whole networking thing, just because there's that kind of, sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming. Even for me, someone who's reasonably extroverted, I still struggle a little. But what I do love is, if I'm needing inspiration, is finding a bunch of people to sit and have a conversation with. and listening to them or asking that question to say, hey, what do you think about this? Or what are you doing at the moment? And actually not thinking about my own stuff. If I need inspiration, instead of going, hey, I'm inspired, one inspiration about XYZ, I'll actually go to talk to someone about something completely different. And in fact, while talking about something completely different, it will spark something in my brain because I'm not thinking about it all the time. It's giving me space for my brain to kind of ruminate a little bit over it and mull over it. And so through those conversations of listening to what other people are doing, whether it's, you know, when you were designing your training programs and when you were before you're launching your membership, talking to you about that was like, oh, I love that, and getting really cool inspiration. So for me, definitely that's a large part of my inspiration.
Yes, I agree. And I think having you and I having, worked together in so many different ways over so many years now, just having that person to bounce ideas around with just makes such a difference, massive, massive difference. And in terms of the online or the in-person networking, it's a really interesting one because I do really miss those experiences that I used to have when we did those monthly in person, because it's those little organic chats with the person you're having sitting next to you or whatever too, which I really, really, really enjoyed. But that's why with the growth trio, right, that we're bringing that back. So yes, we're teaching workshops and it's about learning, but also in the evening, we're just having a wonderful networking dinner. So it's sit and chat and just surround yourself with like-minded. In fact, they don't even have to be like-minded, do they? It's just fellow business owners and people trying to grow either their personal brand or a physical brand. So I'm really excited because I think a lot of people are ready for those in-person connections again.
Oh, I'm 100% agree with you. And I think that's where for me networking shifts from being something that I find a bit like, oh my God, not again, to actually enjoying and get that inspiration. It's when we're doing something else that's not just about networking, we get the opportunity to share and talk and learn at the same time. And then at the end, we're drawing on that experience for the day to say, you know, what are your takeaways? What are you thinking? Where is your head at? And that in that kind of networking event at the end. But really, I kind of see that as consolidation. So, you know, you can't really say, come to our consolidation event. So much nicer to say dinner. So, but really that's what it's about. You've got a day of learning and then you need time to kind of, to have that kind of settle in that for your mind and your kind of awareness to really marinate on what you've learned. And I think that's where that inspiration comes in. So the event I went on the weekend, it was, you know, so it's that 18 amazing Indigenous women, all kind of connecting, all different works of life, mostly artists actually. So artists and healers and a couple of other business people, but mostly those, the kind of art and service industry, health industry. And so for me, sitting there as the business coach, listening and thinking about what they're doing and how they're connecting and the work that they're doing, I found incredibly inspiring and kind of sparked so many ideas in my brain that I wasn't expecting to get from that event. And I think it's when the whole point of inspiration is if you're searching for it, it's going to evade you. It's actually when you want inspiration, step back. I think it's about stepping back and doing something separate. So your brain finds that connection and seeks it out without forcing it, without feeling like, oh my God, I need inspiration. It's like the old writer's block, right? Oh my God, I can't write anymore. Let me go into AI and tell me what happens. But now it's like, actually, go do something else, mow the lawn. I get inspiration by folding washing. I hate folding washing, right? Absolutely. It's the one thing. My mum comes to visit on the weekend and she's like, do you want me to do the folding? Because the table is always full of folding. It's Michael and I's running kind of joke that we have about the fact that there's always folding on our table. But sometimes I will just go, I'm just going to fold. And it's the moment where it's 10 or 15 minutes or an hour, depending on the volume of washing. But in that moment, I find it's kind of calming and it clears my brain and I get to do something completely separate from business. And I finish that and go, oh, I know what I need to do now. And then I go back and do the stuff I need to do.
I love that. That's what I find with ukulele and whistling. It's just in a different space. So then my drive home will be quite different. The ideas in my head compared to the drive there, which I've literally turned my computer off, picked up my ukulele, got in the car, and I'm kind of like, oh, getting there. But the drive home is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. And I think it's something that's sitting outside the box, right? It's something that's not part of what you're doing. You're not focusing only on the work or only on the piece. One of my favorite books that I've talked about, you see it on our recommended book list, is Stephen Pressfield's series of books of Do the Work and the War of Art. He talks about the resistance, and he talks about the struggle that we get, as particularly for writers and artists and people who are turning their craft into a business, that who often kind of get that stuck. You get that balance between them. And I heard this on the weekend saying, I don't want to be doing my art to the point where I don't want to do my art anymore, because it starts to feel like it's the labor of love rather than the love of the work. And so when Stephen Pressfield, he talks about this resistance, he talks about how to get past that resistance and to have routine, because routine actually creates inspiration, funnily enough, because when you have routine, you don't have to worry about doing the kind of smaller stuff, because you're in that routine and that habit. And then you've got space for creativity and space for the other pieces that come. But you need to set those boundaries. You need to set routine in order to create space. So this kind of balance of getting past resistance and moving forward and maintaining inspiration actually comes back to how you work.
It makes sense. It makes total sense that as soon as you've cleared that space in your brain, you're allowing. It's the same with got a difficult client or a client that's not really working well with you, it's not gelling or whatever, then move them on, make space for something better and new to come in.
Exactly. And I think that's the piece, is how do we manage? And I think so many people get caught up in, in that being stuck about what that looks like. And they feel like they have to do something. If I need inspiration, I need to find it. And I think the pressure you put on your subconscious and your unconscious around that, when you're saying I must do, it actually has the opposite effect, right? So I know that's for me when I have moments of procrastination. I like to, I call it positive procrastination, which I love. It's about saying, I'm doing things I need to do. It may not be on the top of my list of the things that I need to do, but particularly when I'm writing workshops, when I'm designing things for clients, whether it's creating, capability statements or web pages, or even writing tender responses, sometimes I will say, okay, I'm giving myself 45 minutes to do something completely random, but it's something that I'm still working towards. It's either housework, or it's, folding clothes, or it's going to the shops and doing my online groceries, or something that I know I still need to do. It's on my to-do list. It's not at the top of the list, but it's on the list. So I'm still getting through stuff. So I'm procrastinating, but in this way that's actually still moving me forward. If that sounds, I know that sounds probably weird, but for me, that works really, really well, because then I come back to the desk and I'm so energized, and I'm like, yeah, I've had my moment of little kind of morning tea or whatever it is, and I've taken that break. I've done something valuable and worthwhile in that time. And now I've got, that inspiration, that spark is back.
That's so good. So for me, how I do it, so say I needed to get something out on Friday that I'd promised I would get done. And of course, I didn't do it. I procrastinated. I did many, many things that were super, super important. But then I was like, okay, how am I going to make myself do it? Well, it's my first job at 6 a.m. So at 6 a.m., there's nothing else going on with my team asking questions, or we're trying to sort something or whatever. So I knew, get that rotten job done then, which I did, and very proud of myself, emailed the link off to the client, and phew, it was over with. But I procrastinated on that one for a week, and I'd set Friday as my deadline. So, 6 a.m. Monday was better than nothing. So for me, the way to make that happen is, okay, that's your 6 a.m. job.
Yep. I love that. And again, it's planning and scheduling the things that you need to do in order to get the work done. And whatever that looks like for you, it makes all the difference though in focusing, because you've made a decision, you're moving forward to what it looks like. Okay, this is what I need to do. This is how I've got to work. And you set that intention, and then you just go and do it. So again, it's planning, it's a bit of scheduling, and sometimes that schedule is what gives you the opportunity, right? It's that plan.
Absolutely. In our Shine monthly membership, we have a 2-hour, once a month, 2-hour content club. So you come in on that, and you might already have been working on your content already, but this is a chance for you to get it finished and scheduled, and we're in there to support you with that. So you're still doing it yourself, but you can ask the questions, get help with the scheduling, help with the hashtags or whatever. And I'm finding it so great to just get stuff done because it's in the calendar, even just for once a month. Like for me, that stuff goes on once a week, but for some people, once a month is plenty to actually get that happening. So schedule it, get your inspiration, and get it done.
Yeah. So I think well, it's funny how you and I work so similarly, and maybe that's why we kind of play so well together. I think is inspiration comes when you give yourself space to do that, and you give yourself something, so it allows the opportunity for the inspiration to come. And for both of us, inspiration and that space comes through really good planning. And so we
Yes.
plan our day, we give ourselves that space in our diary, in our week, to enable us to have 3 or 4 days of thinking about it before we have to get it done. And I certainly do that. My colleagues and Helena always talks to me about the fact that I start things 3 or 4 weeks early, but I'm still doing it on the last 3 days. And it's not because she's like, but you like to work like that. And I was like, no, I really want to be more planful. And then we realized that is me being planful. I think about it for 2 or 3 weeks like you did. And then the last 3 days is when my brain goes, I've got all the things that I need. I know exactly what I'm doing. Bam, let's go and do it. And that's my planning phase. That's my inspiration cycle. It's think about it, wonder, talk about it, do all that, do a little bit of planning, and then smack it out like you did in 3 days. Or for me, it was 2 to 3 days, or in 1 hour in a session. Let's get it done. So inspiration doesn't just mean, having to search on Instagram and spending 2 hours going down the rabbit hole of Facebook or Insta or LinkedIn or whatever it is. Doesn't have to be going and, doing something magnificent. It's just space. I think that's the key.
Absolutely.
Inspiration in business.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And for me, the way my brain works is that even if it was completely finished the week before, I would still be titivating it the next week, because for me, there's always something more you can do, something more you can add. So
Exactly.
I've always
Never quite
finished it
finished,
just
right?
before. That's right.
I love that, Kylie. So, and we've talked a little bit about the fact that we're doing the growth trio. For those who are kind of haven't heard, we are very excited to be in person to share some of these tips and share some of these ideas with you. And as you say, to get stuff done. So the inspiration is the whole day. It's the whole day of coming and learning and thinking about your business and hanging out. But it's an opportunity to be inspired by other incredible business owners. I know I certainly do get inspired when I'm sitting in a room of other business owners, listening to their story and going, oh my gosh, this is going to completely change your world when you get your socials right, or you get your head right, or get clarity around where you're going. Those things can really change your game in a business. So can't wait till we get together in person and have those conversations. We've got many of them around Australia this year. So check out on our socials for the growth trio, and certainly dive in and register if you're around.
Yeah, how fun to meet up with some of our regular listeners and watchers in person in Byron or Sydney or Melbourne or Brisbane. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So great to see you again, Jenny. We've got one more time together next week, and then I'm off for 2 weeks. So yeah, next week I'm excited.
I'm excited, and I think I'm away in about 4 weeks' time, but I'm hoping that we can do one of mine. I think I'll be getting off a plane from Las Vegas when we have one, I think in 3 or 4 weeks' time. So I'll be excited. I may still need to do it because I'll either be completely exhausted or I'll be incredibly energized. So let's find out, people, what's going to happen.
I love it.
We'll see how we go. Look forward to seeing you next week, though. Thank you for everyone for tuning in to Bite Size Business Life Podcast. To check out Kylie, make sure you go to hellomedia.team. You get all her socials and be able to find all the wonderful ways to connect with Kylie. And Elephant in the Room AU is where you can find me and our business. But we look forward to catching up with you in a couple, or next week. If you haven't subscribed and aren't getting notified when we're on next, make sure you do that on whatever service you're listening to us on. And so you don't miss any future episodes and any of the great tips, and hear about what's happening. Thank you, everyone, for catching up with us today, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Go and have fun with some Meta AI.
I'm definitely doing that now.